Would you need, okay, so is this what we're then taking to our board?
Yes, and I'm gonna come to each of your board meetings,
Okay, cool.
and that way, I can answer any questions, any concerns that anybody might have
Okay.
as well. The meeting has started to record.
Who's gonna chair it?
What's that?
Who's gonna chair it?
Sounds like Austin. Chair it, no, thank you. I'm gonna.
Do we have any? We have a
Just
secretary.
this me.
That you're the boss,
You have to do the whole shebang.
the whole shebang.
Oh, yeah, Dave's the vice president.
Mhm.
Yes.
That was-
Let's start with pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have no others present, so we're missing Jerry and Dave. Alright, anybody make a motion to adopt the agenda as presented?
make a motion. Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Consent items, we don't have any, do we?
No, sir.
Okay. Just make sure that I was, all right, none. 20, it's the first item and only item other than the meeting, next meeting is 2026 budget. Chief?
So everybody has in front of you, you have a 2025 budget, and 2026. The 2026 says 2026 on the first page. The 2025 says the 2025 on the last page. So that's my apologies. I actually I actually was importing the data to get out to you guys this morning, on my way to a meeting. So it's not, nearly as nice as I would like it. So, I first kind of want to go over, we're allotted 4% this year of growth, and that'll be the last year for that. And so, when we went through this, we kind of decided to, start making the budget a little more granular. And I know that we've all had some conversation, and when I say more granular, how we're paying out overtime and what portion of our health insurance is dental, which portion is vision, which portion is EAP. Because before we just kind of put it into one line item and then, that's not really best practice. So this one you will see has a lot more line items based on the needs of the department. And so we took that 4%, full stop, 4%, is not a full 4%. We took last year's additional appropriation, which was $413,000. Last year's budget was $2,995,900. So you add the 413 from the additional appropriation. We're allowed to go 4% from there. And we're not quite at that. We're 2.7, I think, is where we ended up.
The 2.7% increase?
Yeah. And so that's how we arrived at the final number of $3,296,978. That is for the operational budget, 8604 fund of the fire territory. We also have an equipment replacement fund, which is 111,405. And that was a simple 4% increase from last year's equipment replacement. I do want to talk about equipment replacement fund, operational fund, and all that stuff. So, do you guys want to go line by line? Because I do kind of want to talk about some of the increases a little bit. So, personnel services is always our biggest. So those are anything with a 1 in front of it is your personnel services, right? And you'll notice that halfway through this year, we added a fire marshal. So this budget reflects his full salary for 2026. And that's really the only change in that top piece, but you're going to start seeing training over time. When we send people, you have a question?
Yeah, just a
But
quick
yeah.
question. Division chief training,
Yep.
is that a different
That is a different sheet.
person that's
Yes.
on the other one? Okay.
Yep. So you'll have so that's everybody's salary. The captain's salary is, that's divided by 3. And then the firefighter's salary is divided by 12, right? 12, there's 12 of them. Actually, there's only 11 of them right now, but that's the full one. Till tomorrow. Administrative assistant salary, that's Susie. Part-time compensation, that number's based on one person here every day at $20 an hour. So 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. But then we get into the overtime, right? And the overtime has kind of killed us this year. It's part of our additional appropriation went to cover some of that. But we kind of broken it down. We put some hard caps on it. We've never really had a hard cap. If Chad's a bad example. If you send firefighter Demont to fire officer class, well, we offer, if that's on your time off, we offer to pay you during that. If you're at work, then we're paying overtime for somebody to cover that or a part-time salary. So we've kind of capped that because it started to get out of control.
Capped at half per month, per person?
No, per year. So the training officer keeps
Oh,
a professional development log. And not to get too much in the weeds, but Austin, you want to go to class, we have an online form that goes from you to your immediate supervisor, goes from your immediate supervisor to your captain, or I'm sorry, to the division training, Justin, then it goes to Chad, then it goes to myself. And I'm the final review for budgetary purpose, right? Chad may have a reason not to send you to class because you failed your last test, or Justin may not send you because that's not part of your career path. But when it gets to me, it's literally just budgetary because it's operationally, it's their decision to send you to class. But what we've seen is that that's a very good incentive to you to further your education because we're paying for it. We're paying for you to go to class. To your point, though, is we've actually pulled that back because most people are starting to hit their professional development goals, right? They're pretty much starting to cap out what they can do because they've done that. So $20,000 isn't, it's a lot of money, but it's not a lot of money in the grand scheme of budgetary pieces. The other piece of that is vacation. We went through and said, tallied up how much vacation everybody has. And this is what's going to cost for me to cover your overtime while you're on vacation. Same thing with sick and personal days. Those numbers are very consistent across the board based on the collective bargaining agreement. That PTO coverage payout is an average, right? If nobody sold their, if nobody took vacation, we have to buy it back. So that's kind of a worst case scenario number, right? We've taken the last couple of years. It's not been that high, but we've also running into this place that people aren't taking their vacation, so we have to be prepared for the worst. So that's not if everybody didn't do it. That's pretty much half. If nobody, if only half the people went on vacation, we had to buy the other half back. We had to be prepared for that. And to say if everybody takes vacation, that money just then folds back into the fire fund. Holiday pay is just, we pay for X amount of holidays based on the collective bargaining agreement. That's what that cost us. Specialty and longevity, that is a number, was it 3? Everybody gets 3. Everybody gets $500 up to 3 specialty pays. So it's $1,500 times all the employees, including the chiefs. That's how we arrive at that number.
As long as they have the specialties.
As long as they have it, you don't just get it. You have to have that certification. Paramedic stipend is just that we pay a paramedic $5,000 for holding and maintaining that certification. That historically has been $40,000, but over the last 3 years, $30,000. We never get above that $30,000 mark. So that's kind of a high water mark for that cert. Write-up pay, if a captain is, that's another collective bargaining thing. If a captain is on vacation, you have a designated person on your ship that's passed the qualifications to be a captain. It's $150
Okay.
a day to ride in that position. So you're basically giving them a bonus for being more responsible. Also collective bargaining thing. FICA and Medicare is just what that is. These next two are new. 457 plan, and actually that's the 401B, 401A. What that is so anybody that's in the current civilian perf will get the same amount or the same percentages contributed to their retirement as the 1977 perf. The 1977 perf is the police fire, which was in the collective bargaining agreement for 2026. So that's what that number is. That's what we have to pay out for their retirement. But for those that aren't in that plan, they still get that money towards retirement. So we pay the difference into the 401B plan. So you have 401 civilian perf, again, we're getting in the weeds, but civilian perf pays X. And then anything above that goes into a 401B additional contribution for the employees. Health insurance, which is direct primary care, is $205,713. On top of that's dental for $13,704, vision for, which is pretty cheap, just $32.5, and then employee assistance if any employee needs some counseling, financial, mental, whatever. We have that program for that. And then 1L is also a new line item. So when Baker Tilly was here last week, we have a contribution fund that's been accruing money. That should have been in the line item in our budget so we can offset our healthcare cost. So we pay for the employee's insurance, but you have your wife and kids on it. The department pays 60% of that premium, but you're responsible for that 40%. Well, where's that 40% going? That 40% has actually been going into an account this whole time. I was very much enlightened on Thursday. And so there's $72,000 sitting in that account. But basically, this is an income account, so it's a miscellaneous revenue. So it's not like we're asking the taxpayers for that $47,000, and it's an actual employee contribution that flows into this budget instead of it flowing from the taxpayers into this budget.
I just want to make sure I understand. So you guys are paying the full 100% to the insurance company, but the employee is contributing some amount, but that's not reaching the insurance company. That's being collected by.
And yeah, it just sits in this collection account.
Great.
Currently. So the money's still there. And it's not going anywhere, but
How do you spend it then? If you,
they're still waiting on clarification. I think that they can write premium checks out of it.
that would make sense.
Yeah.
Who's that?
The township, Olive Township. Yeah.
Also want to clarify the health insurance DPC. That's based on projection, or is that this year's bill?
So that is based on the bills that we're receiving. So we're in an agreement until June of next year. So it was actually cheaper than we thought it was going to be. So that number may be inflated just a little bit, but I don't know, because once we hit June next year and they say, okay, well, your rates are going up.
Right.
So there's just a little bit of a buffer built there.
Okay. So, well, I just want to clarify, because that was, I know there's other things wrapped up with the additional appropriations, but part of one piece of that was the difference in the cost of insurance. So that buffer should take care of that.
Yep.
And that's also why we changed, and now our policy year is June to June.
So when we're
Why do
budgeting
I-
next year, we'll know.
Yeah, so you're getting that information early to budget.
Sweet.
Okay, so my question is on the overtime section, like GA through GG,
Mhm.
that's all broken out in different things on the previous budget, right?
No.
No?
No, it was in overtime general. And so now we have to work with Tina and the township clerk to make sure when every payday that we're allocating it correctly. That it was just put into a pot, and it's nearly impossible to track.
Okay, so I guess where I'm looking at is like PTO coverage on the 2025 budget is $46,990, and then on this new one, it says 50,000, so it's wrong. I just try to kind of balance things together.
Right. So again, it's moving that money into other line items to offset, put hard caps on overtime, right? Like me sending you to class isn't a must, it's a privilege. And so, instead of just saying it's a free for all, we've actually said, no, this is gonna be the hard caps. That's why you see that reduction.
Okay.
So instead of it just being in one line item, it's spread over.
And so basically, do you try to send them on their off days or while they're working?
We have really no control over that. That's part of the problem.
Okay,
Is that
Unless we have class in the house.
Is that when the class is offered?
Yes.
Subject to that? Okay.
And
And we've also made some changes, like if the class isn't required, if it's required, you get paid overtime. Labor department really likes that.
Mhm.
But if it's not required and you're just wanting to go because you want to prepare yourself for a future promotion, you don't necessarily get paid overtime for that. So that's where, as we go through our steps of approval, one of the questions on the form, do you expect overtime for this class? Well, if they select yes, as it filters through us, like that's one of the things that I put a lot of times is, I think this class would be a great thing. However, can't justify overtime for it. So then in the end, we'll pay for your class, we'll pay for your coverage here at the station if you're on shift, but we're not gonna pay you overtime to go. Are you still interested?
yes.
What, I mean, the 2025 budget, when it was a big pot and wasn't broken out, what other overtime was being pulled from that? Because I like the process you described now and that you have the 20K and that's that. But what else was in there this year that,
drove it.
yeah, would have been difficult to,
So, mandatory overtime is now double time. And that was, highly underestimated, burden, right? And mandatory still, we've kind of figured out how to control it a little bit, but, there was nothing preventing an employee from saying, I'm not gonna sign up voluntarily for overtime because that's only time and a half. I'm gonna wait until it's my time on the list and just take it, because then I'm gonna get paid double time. So, and I'm not saying it happens in a bunch of cases, but we've had to kind of project and now do more work in the scheduler to say, can I fill it with part-time or can I fill it with? It was easy before because if I got to your name on the list, it was just time and a half. I was gonna have to pay that time and a half anyway. But now that it's double time, employees know that I'm next on the.
was that part of the collective bargaining? Okay.
Yeah.
That's just
And,
smart.
and with having,
Yes, I'm not
Yeah.
bemoaning it.
and
but
with having one paramedic out on medical leave, we've been burning through that since like when we came back for the emergency hire that starts tomorrow. It still alleviates some of that because our paramedics are working. They legitimately don't want to work. Like, they're like, I just want to go home. I just want to spend some time at home. And that me and Justin have been working, but even then, our overtime rate is more than their overtime rate. Hopefully less than double time.
It is less than double. But still, to keep them from burning out and quitting and going somewhere else. Yeah, yeah.
Very good.
All right, moving on to supplies. Supplies are very boring. Though I will say that, again, we've broken out now, we have unleaded diesel and electric, so we can kind of, track that. And then the other big thing here is the gear. Gear as a supply, you know, we have to get to a point where everybody has two sets. A set of gear is $35,000 to $4,000. To buy that all in one chunk is gonna be quite the undertaking. So we're currently taking proposals back from manufacturers for lease deals for gears. And I'm not talking 10-year lease, I'm talking like a 3-year, and then roll the second set into that next 3 years. And then we'll have a little bit of a break and then we'll just keep rolling. But I don't know what that cost yet. So if you base the $30,000, if I just bought it outright, is 10 or less sets of gear, depending on the manufacturer. So, but I think this is a good way for us to roll into that. We'll talk about equipment replacement fund here in a minute, because that's actually where things should be coming from, but the station renovation comes out of that money, so we'll get to that. And that's pretty much it for supplies. You guys have questions? That's
You have no office supplies, or is it? Oh, there.
That was up there.
supplies in 2A. Yeah.
How's medical supplies? I'm just curious, what was that in this year?
It was actually a little bit more because we had to buy a med ball. I think it's up to around $16,000.
It was 16, 613
Yeah.
last year and 16 this year.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah. But we're gonna have to buy some new airway stuff, and their video airways were required to have video airways, where our old video airways went out of
Basically outdated.
outdated.
Manufacturer quit making the supplies for
So, that's gonna be going
them. We
in.
force you into buying new.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. So, and then we bought some med bolts this year because we're anticipating getting our DEA license to actually house extra narcotics on site, because the hospitals won't be doing that anymore. So, like City of South, all the major departments have had to get their DEA license. So we're waiting for the Board of Pharmacology.
The Drug Enforcement Agency license?
Yeah,
You guys are doing enforcement?
we're not doing enforcement, but they
No,
want to know where it's at.
Yeah, just like pharmacies and everything have to have a DEA license, you have to have your pharmacy approval license, or CSA, controlled substance.
And this is gonna be funded out of the medical line item?
It won't be funded per se, because we get all of our drugs from the hospital for free. But the problem is we have to drive to Crown Point,
Medication.
medication. So to have an extra set, we have to have this license. And so we have to pay for that extra set. The hospital just doesn't hand it to you.
What is the hospital not doing anymore that you guys are getting this license for?
The state has kind of cracked down because of inappropriate use of things like fentanyl,
Oh, okay.
stuff like that, that they don't want, like, for us, Crown Point Hospital supplying us as an agency with the medications.
Okay.
They want us to be able to obtain those directly from manufacturer,
Mhm.
but you can't without the appropriate licensing, which basically the licensing proves that we have policies in place for checking, we have policies in place for waste of,
Mhm.
you know,
Unused med.
fentanyl. If you use half the vial, you have to waste half the vial, and we have to have a policy on how that goes, and we have to have a contract with Stericycle, which we already do, that to waste that appropriately. And that we have things secured appropriately, and that's the med vaults that we bought. So like monthly, every day, our paramedics have to check narcotic stock and sign for it. Then monthly, I run a report on our narcotic vaults, they log who accessed it and when,
Mhm.
and that goes with the signature sheet and gets filed. So if we end up with missing narcotics, we have a log of who opened it and when.
Sounds good.
So,
The Stericycle report back the actual amounts they got back from you?
no, because they put them in like this Sparkles type solution. So, we actually, when you walk in that room, assuming you follow the policy, you walk into the med room, the med room has a camera. And you have to have a witness with you. You poke it in there, you squirt it in there, and then that solution makes it unusable. So there's really no way for them to, because,
And you're supposed to verbalize what you're doing, so.
yeah, so all that's,
We got 50 mics of fentanyl wasting from incident number whatever, because that's recorded, and just boom, and then there's a signature for the person that administered it, signature for the person who witness the waste.
Yeah.
Nice.
Come a long way from just shoving it in a closet.
It's that, I mean, people used to go out in the parking lot and just waste it into the parking lot, because that's what you can do, let the ground.
Yeah.
But
So
I
always did
understand,
is when back door of the ambulance would open, I had like leftover fentanyl. My driver opens the doors. See, we got 50 mics of fentanyl, just spray it out in the end. We're wasting.
Sound like it's Winfield.
Can't do
you
that.
walk into the drains and then the fishes got high.
Yeah.
Oof.
Things you learn along the way, I guess.
So we'll move down into three. Some of this stuff is arduous, right? I mean, we have to pay the payroll company, legal fees to Pete because he's got to get his cut. Accounting fees when I have to call Baker Tilly. Consultation fees are also either Baker Tilly or can be grant related. That line kind of is a filler. EMS billing. The EMS company now takes 5%. 5% of our billable pieces,
2% less than it was.
2% less than we just renegotiated that contract, so we, yeah. Budget prep for next year is also a Baker Tilly line item. Now Stericycle is 0, but if you look back, and this is the Tom's Web carryover, we actually had a problem this year. Stericycle shows up twice in the budget. It's because Tina accidentally applied it to one. Well, it's nearly impossible to get rid of, so we just left it there because it's the same. It's the same, but we'll actually end up blanking that out when it gets inputted into next year's budget. Community outreach appreciation. If we have events at the station that we need monies for, that's what comes out of that line item. It could be bringing NIPSCO in to do an event, and we provide a meal or a breakfast or whatever to get them through the door to do that. It kind of comes out of there.
Retention.
Recruitment and retention. So this program is a way for us to recruit new help as well as retain our current help. This is brand new. We've actually had the program for a year and a half, but we've never added any money towards that fund. So we've started kind of tracking that. So this is printing, this is on top of our regular printing and advertising. This could be, we're doing pamphlets for an event at the high school, or we're getting squeeze balls for similar events, getting people to come in. Additionally, we're trying to figure out how to keep our people, and this could be a simple award for doing something outstanding. So that's what that program is. And there's not a lot of money there, but it does go a long way to help our people out.
Would that be used for something like, I can't recall the name of it, but it was the end of last year at Monroe's, something like that?
That's more into the appreciation dinner piece. It could come out of there if we needed it to, but that's typically what that other line. Property and vehicle insurance, those are a little bit estimations. That's up about $5,000 from last year. In anticipation that it's going to go up because insurance goes up. I skipped over printing and advertising. Printing and advertising, yeah. So insurance, you'll see the black line, and then properties 27.5 and vehicles 27.5. And then we get to utilities. The town utilities keep going up, so I got to keep adding money to that. No, nothing. We had 20,000 budgeted. Long story short, we have these makeup air handlers on the roof that are currently shut off. We need to really have almost like an investigative HVAC. They call them something. A forensic HVAC evaluation, because it takes $3,000 to $4,000 annually to run those things, and that's for what they do, that's a lot. So currently they're shut off to save a little bit of money. With no negative effect, I guess is probably the better way to put it. NIPSCO, we also added a little, I'm a little concerned that natural gas rates are going up. So we'll have to keep that. Station television is just that. Business, telephone, so we split business telephones with, the township, so that's our portion of that. Cellular phone, and cellular data. Admin staff gets cell phones,
Ship commander
the
did.
commander has a phone. And then the cellular data is a separate program because each truck has their own cellular modem in it, so we can get the computer dispatch stuff. Vehicle and equipment maintenance. We've seen an uptick in our vehicle maintenance program. And most of it should be flukes, right? I mean, they should be one-offs, but it seems like we keep winning the lottery and something keeps going bad. So we had to, and that's up $15,000 from the previous year. Vehicle equipment maintenance yearly are things like ladder testing, which we just did, was $1,200, and then the generator. We've started maintaining that ourselves. That used to have its own line item. MDT, CAD, and technology. Was historically, like a $2,000 to $3,000 thing, because if I had a computer and a truck go bad, it's like $1,500, and we could do that twice a year, and that's typically what that would be. We've added technology because we do have a lot of laptops deployed, and so we're gonna start replacing them on an annual basis. Now, I'm not talking all of them. Like the oldest one next year will be replaced. It's 5 years old. So that's the division chief of training has the oldest laptop, so we'll replace that, but that's gonna be like $2,500. We used to have a desktop. Is that it? And we've replaced the desktops with just monitors and put small docking stations in. But these are used monitors we bought, so we'll replace monitors as well. So
We didn't buy them.
we didn't buy them, we got it for free from the dispatch.
They were throwing them away. We grabbed 10 of them.
Yeah.
What happens to the old technology? Is that being sent on that bidding website?
No, so technically we're supposed to be destroying the hard drive, or erasing them and destroying the hard drive.
Really? Okay.
I don't know yet. We don't have a program yet to deal with that.
Okay.
We've really not turned that stuff over yet. We still have everything that we've kept.
Yeah, I'd like to know more.
Yeah,
Is that whole line item considered IT?
yes. It's a technology line item. And because back to our internal discussion from Olive Township, it's something that we have to do for hardware.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, an IT audit needs to know that number probably.
Yep.
And
And yeah, bigger discussion is we have a company coming in next week.
And like,
Okay,
yeah, I didn't have to call you out. You've been asking the questions. Are you familiar with MDT and CAD? What that stands for?
That is, I don't know what MDT is, but that's
It's
fine.
mobile data terminal. So it's just the computer that's in the truck.
Okay,
So I make sure everybody's,
Yeah, sometimes I have been in the past told that I talk over people, and I'm not trying to, it's my
we're
role.
just used to it.
Yeah.
I ask if I don't know.
So then we get into building maintenance, repairs, if anything comes up on the building, carpets as they need to be cleaned, replaced. Annually, that's what the dumpster cost us to have, a year. The dumpster also does our recycling. And we used to do that through the town, but those toters ended up down the alley, or we were producing more trash than they could accept, so we went the dumpster, and it actually ended up working pretty well. Next is training. Props and training supplies. We have, like if you look down at the other building, we have, as an example, we have what looks like a roof. And we can put plywood and shingles on it and then cut it up and then we can replace and keep reusing the prop, but that all has a cost to it. So that's what that $2,500 is. On-site county training is, we pay instructors to come to our facility to put on a class, and that covers that piece. Physicals, you wouldn't think goes in training, but, Justin coordinates it all, so that's where we put that to live. That's a duplicate 3J there, so we will clean that up when it actually goes in. Certification classes, if there's cost to send somebody to a class, that comes out of that line item. We're getting these amounts from Justin. That's what it's kind of cost us this year when we started tracking it. To try to preemptively answer that question. If we send somebody out of town, an example is Swiftwater Rescue. We had to send somebody to Peru, Indiana for a week. So that those are hotel costs, all that stuff are built into that bit. Medic training to send 2 medics annually to class to become paramedics. It's up to $8,000 per person. And then higher education, for those that want to attain a degree, it's going to be kind of it's going to be a requirement for anybody captain up and above. But it's also going to be a scholarship program. So that's all we have. That's all we have for the year. Once that money's gone, it's gone. We're not going to reallocate. But Kathy, you want to go get your associates in fire science. That's going to cost X over the next couple of years. So you apply for that scholarship and we'll pay up to $1,000 for you, $2,000. Just depends on who participates. Currently, we're doing it out of the training budget and just the chief officers. I mean, it's open to everybody, but just the chief officers have been taking advantage. So, but once it becomes a requirement for captains, then there'll be a time frame put on it, but we will never exceed that budgetary number to get them there. So it may take them 3 years to get their associate's degree, but it'll still be funded out of that scholarship program. All right, vehicle and equipment. The vehicle leases you see, that's pumper, tanker, ambulance, and 3 staff vehicles. We've added a little bit in there because we're the Ford we will replace going into 2026. The 2016 Explorer or Interceptor will be replaced, but that's that all-inclusive number there. AED monitors and cots and all that stuff. That's our annual lease agreement from them. And living quarters. Living quarters can be pots, pans, chairs. Something goes bad that it's never typically a huge amount. So that's what that is. Firefighter union dues. That is another income deduction from the employees. So if you're a union member, it comes straight out of your check, and then that check's cut back to the union. So it's being funded out of payroll, what's owed to the employees, but then paid back. So it's not actually a taxpayer associated line item. Dues and subscriptions to associations. That's another one that the Indiana Fire Chiefs Association, the Inspectors Association, the NFPA, the NFPA links down there. Indiana Builders, not Indiana Builders, Indiana, is it Builders Association? So all these organizations that we technically aren't really required to have, but in order to get access to information, we need to do our jobs better. That's what cost us for the 4 chiefs to be part of. First Due, so subscriptions, software, profession. First Due does all of our inspection stuff. It does all of our fire reporting. It does all of our EMS reporting. Does all of our inventory. Does all of our scheduling. That's our total inclusive thing. It does all our reporting to the federal government, which is going to be NERIS, which just literally upgrading. It does all of our hydrant stuff, so we track all of our hydrants and our flows, all that information goes into that system. And actually, that's a deal. I know that doesn't seem like a deal, but that's actually a deal. Policies, so when you're a firefighter and you come through the door, you have to read all of our policies and procedures, and they're all contained in this program. And then when you're done reading them, you have to acknowledge that you've read and understand it. That way, should you break that policy and you're gonna get let go, then we have proof that you actually have to annually read through those policies.
Is it digital?
It is all digital, yep. And honestly, side note, if as the township has policies, there's also not, it's same company, different integration that allows local governments to publish them, and then Tina would have to, I know it's a small scale, it wouldn't cost very much, but all the board members, everybody would have to go in there, read them and acknowledge them, and there's a digital signature. It's legally, and it's actually done by Gordon Graham, who's a renowned attorney in the fire and police service that started this company. And so everything, if a new federal, local, or state policy comes up, it's automatically populated and sent to us that says you have updates that you need. Target Solutions, the one thing that our all-inclusive reporting thing that I just bragged on doesn't do is our training content that we're required to do annually or every 3 years.
Just look at the switch.
Oh, and now we're looking to move that into our Target Solutions, but currently it's a separate platform. So that's SimuShare is another training aid that part of our training program that keeps adding up as I keep looking at it.
Virtually fire.
It's virtual firefighting. So you can go in, you can take a picture of Feeney's and put a fire in Feeney's, and we can have our people actually be simulated, come through the door, and we have to come take pictures of it. It's not there automatically.
Yeah, it's tactics deployment or tactics development without having the actual fire.
Sit down on desktop.
Yeah.
A VR headset.
Or-
No, not yet. We'd love it to get there, but so NFPA Link, Microsoft, these are all NFPA Link is, you know, if you wanted to see the NFPA on professional firefighter standards, that's how we get in there to print that off. So I could say this is what the NFPA says that we're required to have for staffing, all that stuff.
What is that acronym?
National Fire Protection Agency.
Okay.
Microsoft for all of our emailing and all that other stuff. And then the last two, that Stericycle that we talked about that was zeroed out up above. Hand heavy, that's actually kind of a, I'll let Mr. Medicare explain it, but the state pays, it's actually $2,000. The state pays half of that, and we pay the other half.
What is it?
So it's an app-based program that it's primarily developed for pediatric care. So pediatric medications, you have to do a lot of math on. And this really breaks it down to, like, their categories are under 1, 2 to 3, 4 to 5. And it associates also with a special bag that has equipment that's sized appropriately for those age of kids.
Because I like if you're giving the right dosage, that kind of thing.
So if you're on your app and you need to give epinephrine to a 2-year-old, you can look and see what that dosage is without having to do the math in your head of, okay, so if it's 1 milligram and they're this kilos, I want to do this. It's dumbs it down basically in a hurry for you, but then it also goes all the way up through adult ages and it logs. So if we have somebody, like if we're running a cardiac arrest and we have somebody with the app open, when epinephrine's given, they push a button. It logs that time that it was given. It also starts a timer because you want to do it every 3 to 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So it starts a timer. So when somebody goes, oh, how long's it been since we gave that B? Oh, 2.5 minutes. Okay, we get another one ready, you know, it does that kind of thing. So it's actually a program that we were contemplating, do we continue or not? And then the state came through with 50% funding, and that kind of made it a no-brainer to just keep it.
And I want to give you a quick heartwarming story, not to drag this on, but, it was Front Street, Meridian Street, it was before your time. The current pharmacist, that big tall guy,
Oh,
down at CVS, his less than 1-year-old goes into cardiac arrest. And we didn't have any of this, right? And it showed a glaring need because babies don't, that doesn't happen to babies. That's very unnatural. Anyway, saved the baby's life.
Because the pharmacist was there?
No, he wasn't a pharmacist yet. He was still in school. But our crews were able to get through this, but the feedback that we got from that call is that we don't do this often enough, so we need a tool to help us do that. That's how we arrived at this. Now, that guy is so gracious. I mean, I feel bad every time he says thank you. I mean, baby's doing great. It's grown. And probably 4 years old now. I mean, it's literally, it's
the other day, I was there standing in line. He stops what he's doing. Go ahead and come on over here. I can wait in line.
yeah. And then the last bit of this is Civic Plus. Civic Plus is our website. And it's actually going through a redesign and putting this on a new platform. They were using I don't even, it's whatever language they switched it to a new programming language. It doesn't cost us any more or any less, but so that's kind of where we're at. So the synopsis of 8604, which is the budget we just talked about, is the grand total is 3,296,978. And that's for 2026. We do want to put a pause on that, and I'll talk about equipment replacement fund, and then we'll talk about next steps. Equipment replacement fund 8692 is just that. It's a separate tax. It's 0.033 per 100 for every household, right? And that can grow 4% again for the last year, this year. So that'll give us 111. Currently, we are using that money for the station to finish paying for the station renovation, which I believe after this year, we'll have 5 years left on that loan. Now, I know that I said pause earlier, and we should really be buying our turnout gear from them. Since we committed that money for the renovation, we can't use it for anything. So the recommendation at the time was to move that into our operational budget under lease or whatever to do that. So we'll have to deal with that for another.
Is that full amount going towards that loan?
Not full. There's typically a little left over,
Like 90% of it?
90% of it.
Well, I'm wondering what
Going
going
towards
towards
it.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
it's roughly, I thought you meant that, and I was like, no, 90%. I'd have to double check what is left, but we supplemented this year, we supplemented into our vehicle lease program is where the rest of that money went. But that's not earmarked every year.
Okay.
Now that our lease payment last year was $331,000, next year it's like half, not quite half that, but it's pretty close, like 180. So, so that's kind of where that goes. We really don't like, but that was our only option when we did.
So that frees up in 2030.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So there's two pieces here. I need this board to accept the budget. And I want well, we didn't get to review it, and I understand that. If any point that you take this home and you don't like it, each board has to approve it. So there's still time for us to adjust, right? This is the first step, and that's why I call this meeting, because each of your boards has meetings coming up that you'll see my smiling face at. So it's going to give you some time to review. Additionally, if you needed to call another meeting for another reason because you wanted me to adjust it again, we would 100% do that. But in the sake of time, and I'm not trying to pressure you, strong arm you, or whatever, we really needed to better understand, number one, miscellaneous revenue. Miscellaneous revenue is EMS receivables.
Right.
We were undervaluing that in previous years. And so this year we're gonna be right around $250,000. And so we weren't that money was just accumulating. Well, we need to be using that money in the operations instead of just accumulating that money. That's not the correct way of doing it. So we've adjusted that and moved that. The other piece
I'm
is
sorry, where does it go?
the fire fund. So that's, you know, how that money just, the fire fund,
It's,
those are fund balances in Holland Township.
Yeah.
It's not reflected in here. And it's not a line item like we're line iteming now that we're using for actual operations. That money goes into what, however we need to use it. Where the deductions are specific and the union dues are specific, that's not a specific, it doesn't have to go into a specific line. It also gives us that breathing room when the collective bargaining comes up and you guys are faced with negotiating with you. Because that's we're
When does that happen again?
probably roughly April to June of next year. I would say that's probably a safe bet.
So on the 2025 budget, the line 4X, whatever, the 38,000, what was that?
Oh, yes, that's Marcy. $38,000, we sold that tanker
Oh,
and that
yeah.
was the portion of that. So when we did the
Okay.
additional appropriation, $38,000 went to pay the town their portion of that. So there's typically no four, we've never had,
Okay. So I get, you were talking earlier about a 2.7 increase and a 4% increase. So just kind of looking at this, the actual budget is less than what it was last year. Oh, and how did those numbers come into play that you were throwing at me?
so when you figure the 2.995,900, the original, and then you add 413 to it, that's where you come up with the 3,408,000, right? That's what we spent in 2025, or we will have spent in 2025. So we're taking our 4%. We're not taking 4% of the 3,408,000. We're taking the 2.7%. That's ish. And that's how you arrive at the new number for 2026.
What was the additional appropriation total amount?
413
Okay, so $413,000
plus,
So it's really, if I'm understanding your question correctly, it's 3,408,000, so on, minus 413, and then from that number, which is just under 3 million, that's a 2.7% increase. Is that how you're getting 2.7?
I'm getting the 2.7 by saying our increase, oh, yes,
Do I have it?
yes.
Say that again.
So it's the 2025 total budget minus the additional appropriations, which was 413.
That we did a couple, or a month or so
Yes,
ago.
so minus the 413 from just under 3 million to next year's budget is a 2.7% increase. That's what I'm understanding. That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
You got that? Double
If
check.
it is wrong, I will
So
email
actually,
you.
it's like $3 million for even numbers, and then you added 2.7 to that to get the 3296,
Yeah.
right?
It's an Excel formula that's really,
That's okay, but
yes.
it makes more sense to me, because I was like,
Yeah.
what the heck? So where's the 4%?
Yeah, where's the
number
4%?
that you talked
It,
about?
so
Oh,
we-
that's what we could do.
we could, yes, but we didn't. We didn't take it because we don't need it.
Well, I guess why wouldn't we just take it just so that it's there? Because,
And
I mean, really, well,
I'm with you. I just don't want to,
it would be mismatching the income because a significant part of that additional appropriations end up being insurance we paid ahead.
no,
insurance and pay.
no, because we got the bill after the fact.
Oh, we go
Right,
from
right.
last year, from the prior-
Right. We could use them. I most definitely could use them for other programs, right? Or see, the thing is that there's this other issue with increasing the max levy
Yeah,
that we're gonna run into. So we still have access to that money. Right? So if I want to ask for that, instead of being presumptuous and saying I want that extra percentage of money,
right.
I would just come back to the board and say, I need this for this project. I want to pay off the station early, or I want to pay off couple of the vehicles. Just name your project. I want to do this. We still have the ability to do this, but I don't want, I want to save that money because we may be faced with $200,000 in labor shortages, not shortages, asks from the union. Because, I mean, we're, in comparison to other fire departments, we're now minimally $10,000 per person behind.
Right.
So if I presumptuously put this in here, I'm not gonna have access to that money. The space is there for us to grow because we've protected ourselves against the new law changes. But, if I take it all now, then and spend it, then I'm gonna have to reallocate and be short.
But if you take it and you don't spend it, and you
Correct.
have some kind of a buffer, isn't that a good thing as well?
Yes, I guess it's how you look at it.
I think, I understand your point,
Yeah.
but counterpoint might be, the public might like it more that we're not reaching for the full levy. Counterpoint, right?
I'm at your display. I just try to be responsible and I understand, because I love money. I'm so passionate about this and I can make that money work, but
Well, then you can hire me.
yes.
What was, so the equipment fund, 8692, the 4% increase there, how are we getting that? What line items, or what, is it, it's not 4, obviously, it's not 4XXX.
No,
Not three,
it's 100,
It was other.
so it's
line
4A and 4B and 8692, it's 111,405 minus 4%. I didn't write that number down.
But you
Okay.
remembered it, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay. So that's fine with me.
Yeah.
Cool. So you don't need a motion or anything today. We need to take. or
I
you?
do need this board to
Do it.
move it to your own boards. And so it goes from this board to your boards.
So I would make a motion to move it from this board to my board.
Yes.
So moved.
Second.
We don't have to individually do it as a board? I mean, each.
Yes.
Okay, so he
You
makes,
just adopt, you're saying we're okay with
I'm
it,
okay with his
take it to your,
motion and then, okay, got it.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
That's all I have. And then I have your meeting dates and then, I'm more than happy to sit down with your boards, prior to that. Or if they want to do it real time, I don't care. It's just easier if they review it and then they have questions, they're more than welcome for me to sit down with them and.
Was this, the last year's budget included in one of those emails? I didn't review the.
No, not yet.
Or
The
will it?
2024, 2025 budget?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is that the last
you got that in a separate email from him.
Now
We were driving down.
you should,
Okay.
One that you said.
Oh.
I was gonna say you should have gotten it from my personal
Yeah.
email because
So maybe it's in my junk.
we've ran a problem with,
Gmail blocking.
yeah.
Okay, so I can get that to all my board members.
They think
And we're gonna approve that there. Assuming that gets approved, that then goes to not back here, but to the town.
It goes to Olive, well, the town will do that process as well. And then Olive Township, once we have all the yeses,
When we come back.
then Olive Township approves the budget and it gets advertised and all that by,
What's the deadline for when I need to?
I'll get you that. I have it. I just don't have it.
Isn't it like typically end of October?
I think it's like, I want to say October 21st, but
Okay.
I don't want to
So I, all,
misspeak.
all of September.
So I'm thinking September 25th was the deadline for something.
Let me,
We don't have-
I will email you
Okay.
Yeah, let's.
tomorrow and those will be hard dates that.
Cool. Because there's an advertising thing, right? You have 10
Yeah.
days advertised and then they have
Then there's a budget hearing and then
that wouldn't happen here though. That would happen at town.
township, Olive Township.
Oh, yeah, so it's here.
Can you send me that other one again? I don't have the
Yeah, we,
twenty
well,
twenty.
yeah, we'll do.
Not that I'm gonna be in on the board meeting, but at least I can help I remember.
hope you guys are able to make it.
Yeah.
Good. I would like you to be there to report on this. If there's no other business, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, this was on.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.